Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. Today I am sharing with you some of my favorite thriller books of all time. So I don't usually read thrillers all that often, but when I do, there are gems that stick out and become my favorite thriller books of all time. And today I am going to be sharing those with you. The first book on this list is I'm Thinking of Ending Things by Anne Reid. This book is just incredible. You go on this trippy journey. It explores the consciousness and the human psyche, and it really truly makes you question everything. And this book was an incredible read for me. I thought it was such a masterpiece. I was so confused at points and questioning everything that was happening. And really, my pulse was sky high halfway through this book. And I was wanting to find out what exactly happens to our main character and what exactly is going on. Like, this is so mind bending and trippy and just makes you want to know the answers right away. I think the fact that this is set in a snowy atmosphere also helped the book a lot. I'm a sucker for a winter setting. I adore wintry thrillers and horror. So this one was the perfect atmosphere for me. It had the perfect level of snowy dystopian thriller page turning elements in it. So essentially, in this book, we follow Jake and his girlfriend, and they're on this road trip to their rural family home. And throughout this journey, it just gets darker and creepier. It starts off thinking that, oh, it's just a happy little road trip. And then it takes a turn and there's an abandoned school involved. Yeah, this is definitely a page turner. It hooks you right in the beginning and you don't want to put it down. So I really love this story. It deserves a reread sometime soon, but this is definitely up there as one of my most favorite thriller books of all time. Next up, we have All the Sinners Bleed by S.A. Cosby. This is a more recent read from 2023, and wow, did it stand out. The writing in All the Sinners Bleed was incredible. It's made me want to read more by S.A. Cosby as well. This book follows a black sheriff who is in a small town, and we have a school shooting, and then he has to deal with that and the fallout. But then something takes a turn, and we discover a lot more to the shooting, and he goes on this quest to find out the main cause of it, um, and tries to solve this big, massive case. So yeah, the story for me, I thought was incredible. It had such a good understanding of social issues and also like more modern day horrors. This one definitely is a standout from last year. It was probably one of the better thrillers that I've read last year. I adored it. It really was an incredible read. Um, and yeah, I would really recommend checking it out if you're into crime thrillers. It definitely has a lot of that element in terms of solving crime, dealing with it, and these social commentary elements as well. The book really does that so well and is definitely a standout. Next up is a really short book but doesn't disappoint, and that is Comfort Me with Apples. This book just made me say wow the entire time. It is a weird literary story that really hooked you into the beginning, and like you're asking questions throughout this entire story, and you really do feel sorry for the main character. So once you find out what exactly is happening as well, you then get really angry and you just want to scream. Um, so that is a sign of an incredible thriller book. So this is like a psychological horror that really messes with your psyche, and you are constantly wanting to know what exactly is going on in this perfect world. So we're following Sophia, who is a happy housewife in this perfect world, like Eden type, perfect community. And she is just living her life until she discovers a locked drawer. And then shit hits the fan, and we start to unravel this whole perfect community, and what exactly is happening in her own home. This is a page turner for sure. This had all of the brilliant elements that you want in a thriller book. It keeps you on your toes, and you're asking questions, and you're wanting to find out what exactly is happening. And then you do start to feel really bad for our main character, Sophia. But it's an incredible read. I highly recommend it. It's a short one, so it's quick and easy to get through, and you won't want to put it down. So next up we have The Sanctuary. This one was a chaotic story from the beginning. We're following 4 pregnant women who go to this retreat for some relaxation before they pop the kids, and it takes a really dark turn. We're following all of these different characters. There's POV changes all the time. It's like a mystery story, so you're wanting to find out what exactly each of these characters are doing. They all have their secrets, and you're trying to figure out why they're all in this one place. So it's a twisty book for sure, and you are constantly rooting for certain characters and hating others. Like you will really hate certain characters in this story, which I think is an incredible skill in the writing. And it was super fast. I could get through this book in like a sitting, and I think when a book is written so well, it really does help the thriller aspect. So next up we have Sundial by Katrina Ward. I really love the different elements to this and how it is like psychological, kind of fearing the entire time when you're reading this. Essentially, Rob takes Callie out to Sundial, which is a place where Rob grew up, and then tries to teach her daughter how to be a better person. So this is kind of an emotional roller coaster. There's so much happening. We have flashbacks in here to Rob's childhood, how she grew up, why Callie is the way that she is. But then you're asking yourself, why are we getting this random POV? But then you start to piece everything together, and the outcome was great. I really enjoyed this one, but this isn't my favorite Katrina Ward book. That one you'll find later on in the video. Next up, we have The Winter People by Jennifer McMahon. This is another snowy based story, so of course I had to include it. This has everything that you want in a mystery story. So we are following this family who live in a remote area in Vermont, and then their mother goes missing, and then it's up to the daughters to figure out why and what secrets lie in this house that they're living in, and why their mother has gone missing. So this was twisty and creepy. I've seen that people have listed this as a horror book. I think it leans more thrillery, in my opinion, because of how it is worded. It is a mystery based story. So we are trying to figure out why all the stuff is happening to this family, and you find out secrets from the past. This is dual timeline and different POVs. So there's a lot happening in this story, a lot to follow, but it's an incredible read. It's really worth your time if you go into this. The writing is beautiful, and yeah, the outcome is shocking. So yeah, really loved this book as well. Next up, we have Mrs. March by Virginia Vito. I read this book for my Katrina Ward video where she gave me recommendations on books that she enjoys, and I enjoyed this book too. This was such a surprise. I absolutely adored this book. It showcases the women aspect in society, and we follow Mrs. March's descent into madness. And yeah, it's such a really good mystery story. It's psychological, it makes you think, and it's an incredible read. So essentially, we're following Mrs. March, who doesn't get a name until the very last page, which I think is kind of incredible and synonymous of how women were treated. So by not giving her a name was kind of highlighting that in society. So this book, like I said, we follow Mrs. March, who is wife and housewife to this really well-off author who is writing stories and just living a life of wealth. But then she stumbles into a patisserie and bakery, and someone passes a comment on her husband's latest novel. And then that switches something in her brain, and she goes on a descent into figuring out if her husband has written his latest character about her. It's an incredible story. It's so psychological. It hooks you right in the beginning. It's such an incredible read. I really enjoyed it, and I think I read this in like one day. So it is so worth the time, and it was definitely a 5-star read for me. Next up, we have a more recent thriller that I read, but knew instantly that it has become one of my favorite thriller books of all time, and that is The Nesting by C.J. Cook. This book was such an incredible read. Again, it's like set in Norway, so snowy atmospheric setting, which is totally my vibe. This is so creepy, in the sense of the Nordic folklore, like these entities that kind of have to protect nature. So this is more of a naturey story, nature getting revenge on a family who's building a house in an area where they probably shouldn't be changing or altering nature. So we follow our character Lexi, who takes a job up as a babysitter or a nanny, looking after these children because they have to move to Norway in order to finish building the house. And then Lexi uncovers a lot of family history and family secrets. So I've just been editing this video that you're watching, and all of a sudden I got to one book from last and my audio cuts out. So that's why I thought I would set this up and tell you what that book is. So the last thriller book to talk about is The Last House on Needless Street by Catriona Wood. I adored this book. This was so much fun to read. It was so psychological. I feel like psychological thrillers are definitely one of my favorites. This had everything and more. It was following Ted, who is living at home with his daughter and religious cat. So this really does take you on a journey. I started this book not knowing what was going on. I was so confused with the different perspectives, and I was so like intrigued to know why a cat has a perspective in this. But once you find out what exactly is going on, this is such an incredible book. I think this is truly a masterpiece and deserves so much praise because it actually changed the game for me. Once I understood what was happening, this was just unreal. I thought it was an incredible read. So essentially, we're following this girl who is trying to find out who took her sister, and then we get Ted's POV, which is another character, and we follow him and his journey through life. And then we uncover a lot of past secrets. And yeah, nothing is what it seems in this book. And I loved every second of it. And it has been cemented as my favorite thriller of all time. And that is what I was trying to do in the last video. But my audio just stopped working and I couldn't finish it. I hope you have enjoyed this video. So let me know in the comments what thriller book is your favorite, And until next time, keep the pages turning and embrace the darkness. Bye!